Playmakers Radio.
Playmakers
Radio, baby.
You heard it.
Shout out to Playmakers and my boys. Let's do this.
Yo, we're gonna do this. We're gonna have fun doing this.
Peace out, guys.
All right, man. I'll holler at you later, Justin.
What's up, man? Be good, brother.
All right,
bye. All right. Thank you, brother.
But yeah,
hey, man, what's happening?
No, we back. I think Stan had a question.
Y'all sound better.
Yeah. I think I fixed the problem while y'all was having your discussion. So now we got it all, situated. But
you sound a lot better. Man.
But now, my guy Stan had a question for you too, man. We want to get some inside scoop on some stuff.
Hey, how's it going, Mr. Aguirre? Nice to meet you. Yeah, so I'm a big.
What's going on, man?
Not too much, man. I'm a big Sixers fan, and I wanted to get your thoughts on the Jimmy Butler trade.
Sixers fan, huh? I'm talking to a Sixers fan over
give it to me. Yeah, we knew till we saw
what's going on. I give you my 100, man. I give you everything I got. But you might not like it. You may not like it. I don't know.
Well, give me your.
I don't work for anybody that I have to.
You don't have to. That's the good thing about what we're doing. It's all we can say what we want on him.
Well, tell me what your thoughts are on.
I ain't gotta please nobody. I'll tell you straight like it is. A lot of people don't like it.
That's what we got you on for, man.
That's what I want to do. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, what you think about the Jimmy Butler situation with Embiid and Simmons, and what similarities do you see with that and your trade when you went to play with Dumars and Isaiah Thomas and Rodman?
That's the same question.
You can't even, okay, put it like this. Let me give it to you this way, and you will answer your own question, all right?
All right.
When I went over to Detroit, and I went to start lineup, we lost our first 2 games.
Ooh.
Gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
Then we won 20 straight. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, all right. That's a good answer. That's a good answer.
Don't be putting Jimmy Butler on my level. Never do that.
I'm gonna tell him that when I see him.
That's apples and oranges. Come on.
Fair enough.
Was a part of the franchise. Huh?
But I mean, all right. So let me ask you this:
Was that too straight for you?
No, I guess I get that, but I guess more so in terms of like the dynamics of the personalities and dealing with new players and whatnot.
I would have left those boys alone personally myself because they don't have to win this championship tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the idea of adding a guy who has ball stopper and has never been deep in the playoff before, I would wait. Because I want some maturity. I want maturity, and when you're trying to win a championship game, maturity wins the title.
Right.
Understanding what you have to do. Your mental toughness wins titles. It ain't the fact that you got another ball player to play. They got to be mentally. Know what it takes to win. Yeah. And nothing against Jimmy Butler because he ain't done that. He might get to it, but you know what? Me personally, I would have waited. I would let let them roll. Let them young fellas roll. Let them roll. Let them rolling. How they just roll? Yeah. Well, maybe the cat ain't out. I mean, the decision ain't out yet. Right. That make sense to you?
Yeah,
Definitely
makes sense.
I had some of those same sentiments myself, so it's interesting.
I know it might not be what you wanted to hear, but it was real. It was cut. I'm giving them what I think.
So,
I understand exactly what you were saying as far as with that trade, but you can't put, Isaiah and Mark together with them names. You just about to that's my number. He gonna cuss in a minute. Go ahead, man. I'm sorry, brother. Go ahead.
No. I just had a question. Because, did it make it easier going to the Pistons with Isaiah Thomas? Like, seeing how you were already friends? You know what I mean?
That had nothing to do with it. You know what I'm saying? It made it harder. Right. Yeah. It made it harder. You say, me going to Detroit Pistons to play with my friend Isaiah, it made it harder because the loss was on me. It wasn't going to be on Isaiah. It wasn't going to be on Lambeer. It wasn't going to be on Dennis. If we didn't win the title, it was all coming back to me. Yeah. So I had to make sure in that first year that I was doing damage. Plus, I had to get Joe Dumars in because Joe was programmed to Adrian Dantley. If you ever look at any film, he would throw the ball back into Adrian Dantley 15 times if they had time to do it.
Yeah.
And I had a couple games where Joe would throw it into the post, I would throw it back out, his man would leave him, he'd come to me, I'd throw it back out. Then I had to sit down with Joe and say, look, if you don't shoot, that man is just going to lay in my lap. I need you to shoot. And he had never, I think Joe was averaging 7 when he got there. Right. He went up, way up.
You opened everybody up, though, Mark.
AD was holding the ball 100 minutes. He'd get the ball and side the ball. They would throw the ball to him and run on the other side. How can you win a title like that? But anyway, it takes, I don't know if that, explains what you.
Yeah, no, that it makes sense because all the pressure is.
100.
Yeah, no.
Give it to you.
It makes perfect sense because it's all the pressure's on you because, you know what I mean? No.
Yeah, well, I want to
I would ask this though,
I proved that I could score on anybody. That I had no problem scoring. That I didn't think anybody could stop me personally.
Now, Mark, I would ask this question of you too. Now, I know when you got traded over to Detroit, your background and what you had already done. Was the pressure on you because you were traded there as that piece to get them over the hump, or was the pressure on you? Because I would think, like a guy like Isaiah at that time too, a lot of the pressure would have been on him as well. Lambeer, even a Joe Dumars in itself, he hadn't necessarily maybe come into his own right at that time. It's just like, I find that an interesting dynamic how when you do get traded, because back to Stan's question about Jimmy Butler. I mean, Jimmy Butler going to Philadelphia and being that piece in that trade right there kind of said to all Philadelphia fans that all the pressure is on him too, right? So even though, we're not trying to compare him to you, but his actions and the way that he goes about what he's doing right now may be affected because he feels like there's a lot of pressure on him. Because, I mean, me looking at that trade, I'm not saying that they're going to win the finals with that trade, but I would think that it gives them a player that was maybe more capable than Robert Covington and Dario Saric. And now he doesn't have a resume to necessarily, he has a resume to prove that he's been more capable, but he doesn't have a championship resume. I understand that. But then on your pressure quote, does Jimmy feel a lot of pressure? Because now he's the guy that has to be the reason why the Sixers go to a certain point in the Eastern Conference Finals, if I'm reading what you said right.
No. Well, let me answer your question, Dean. So, okay, let's go like this. And I hope you can grasp this, is that whenever you make a trade to get better. So that player that's traded does have pressure on him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Correct?
Right.
Yeah. So he does have pressure on him to play well, all right? But when you look at the Philadelphia 76ers, they are a good team and they're bumping they're about to bump the wall. And the Detroit Pistons before me had Kelly Spuka, Dan Roundfield, Adrian Dantley. They were doing the same thing that Philadelphia is doing right now. Okay? But the only difference is that the Detroit Pistons went to the finals and lost in Game 7.
Right.
To Boston, right?
No,
the Lakers. Yeah.
The Lakers,
okay,
yes.
so what I'm saying
and Isaiah had one of the greatest performances, in finals that people can talk about if we talk about that series. What was it, Game 6 or with the ankle injury, dropping 40-something on the Lakers and still lost the series?
You're absolutely right, but I'm trying to answer your...
Yeah, no. Absolutely.
Which one you want me to hear, huh?
No, I was just saying that was the game that he was in, and that kind of went into my statement, just saying how, a guy like Isaiah Thomas, what he did the year before, a lot of the pressure would be on him as well, too, right? Because, even though he did as well as he did... Okay,
I understand what you're saying. It would be on him. Absolutely would be on him.
Well,
they went to Game 7. Hold on, let me finish. They went to Game 7. They lost Game 7.
Mm-hmm.
And then you trade your leading scorer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Isaiah, my friend, he got some of that pressure.
Yeah, because...
So you think they're going to run Hall of Famer, everything, Isaiah Thomas out of Detroit, or who's going to get run out of Detroit?
No, I hear you, but you still have that pressure, though, don't you? Like you said, that's all I was saying there.
Because did you see the 30 for 30 on the Pistons?
Let's talk honestly.
Of course I did.
Ain't going nowhere.
Isaiah,
come on.
No, because it made.
As soon as the season started next year, they're gonna be love Isaiah. Come on.
Because it made me. It took me back into the 30 for 30 where they were talking to Jack McCloskey after the trade got made. And he was like, somebody rolled the window down and made a finger gun and pointed at him like they were mad about the trade at first.
Yeah, no, I remember how that trade went down. Like, it's not necessarily a good one, but
at the end of the day, if it didn't work out, do you think they were going to be upset with Isaiah?
Oh no,
not at all.
No, not at all.
Okay, so let's talk real. He might have had some pressure for a minute, but that was going to go away. I was going to get run out of town. What'd you say?
Yeah.
It was all you, Bob.
All right, let's get real now.
Nah, you're right. You're right, because they would have been like, they never should have made the trade. Yeah, I agree.
I don't know.
Well, I'm saying is that, hold on, what do you mean they never
talking about Philly? Talking about Philly.
Philly for that trade? Man, let me tell you.
No, I'm saying I'm saying like if they didn't win the title, if the Pistons didn't win, they would have looked like you should have never traded Aguirre for Dantley.
Oh, yeah, man, that's Isaiah's friend. And that's all that.
Yeah, like I hear a lot about it.
I knew what I was getting into when I came up there.
Right.
Oh,
okay. So, I had to win it. But that Philadelphia team, man, let me tell you. Right now, I understand Jimmy Butler. Totally understand that. And I don't think it was a bad move. And it might turn out to be a nice move. But you know what? You got to know how to see a winner. Isaiah know I have won everywhere I've ever been. I won everywhere I've ever played. And then Dallas as an expansion team, tell you how hard that was to take Dallas from expansion to the Western Conference Finals 2 or 3 times. That was hard, man. But I had good players around me. Royce Hartley, Derek Harper, great players around me. But we didn't go out to get none of those. And I think Philly had a young enough and a good enough base. When you come up with each other, you get that chemistry. And I don't know if Jimmy Butler's going to fit into that chemistry because I think he affected Ben Simmons' game. Is it Ben Simmons?
Big fella, he don't like his role right now. Yeah. Embiid don't like his role.
I think he's affecting him right now. He doesn't know how to fit in.
He'll ball stopper.
But see, I was in Dallas averaging 28 a night.
Yeah.
I knew when I went to Detroit, it wasn't going to be that 28 a night. Down,
but that's okay though.
I don't know if Jimmy Butler can do that, huh?
No, I'm just listening to y'all laughing. So
Playmaker Radio.
Oh, definitely.
Talking to my boys here on the radio, huh?
But here's my question for you. Here's another question for you, because me and Matt were talking about free agency and how that changed the NBA. If that was around back in like the 80s and 90s, like free agency where players could move like they do now, do you think players would have moved like yourself, for instance? If you could have been like, okay, I'm tired of losing in Dallas, would you have left Dallas on your own?
Yeah, but there's not as many teams to move to. We only had 4 or 5 teams you can move to and win a title. Back then, you were going to Boston, you were going to LA, you were going to Philadelphia, you were going to who else? Maybe Milwaukee was
But I mean, like, but like, if you could have made a move, like you're like they do nowadays, like where you could just be a free agent, would you have done it? Or would you just?
No. I mean, that's only a natural progression of the sport. I mean, you can't stay in the doggone dark ages forever.
Yeah.
That's the natural progression of the sport. And if it has moved, absolutely, you would. A lot of guys would move around. That's what it did. And this is the way the league progressed. Absolutely, there are a lot of guys.
I think, Chris, I want to add to that. I think
What's that?
People confuse basketball with not being a job. It's a job.
Oh no, definitely.
It's like, I think that people confuse it like, oh, what are you leaving that team? But there's another job over here opening that I can go get. It's the same thing.
There's a lot of things. Job, winning, all kinds of things.
Yeah, they go.
I need to go over there.
Yeah, you ain't gonna stay at Walmart over.
And then So that's what happens, man. No big.
Yeah.
I hope I answered that one. I know I'm like straight with y'all, man.
Yeah.
I'm talking to nobody understand. I come so straight. I think y'all be expecting the ESPN.
No. That's kind of what I like about it.
Don't bring none of that cotton candy stuff over here, man.
Hey, ask Mark Aguirre. I always want to know, who was his all-time favorite player of all time? Your personal all-time favorite?
I don't even know.
You never had a favorite? No. Because you were too busy picking the puppet from everybody else.
Now, does that change? That's what I want to know. I want to know what it's like. Like, what does it feel like to go, like, all right, let's say you admire, like, Julius Erving. Because I know he was in the league before you got into the league.
Now, I must say, if there was anything close to my favorite, it was the Doctor.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I mean, like, how does it feel to go from, like, maybe admiring a player to then playing against him every night? And, I mean, on some point, I know you realize, like, I could take this guy. Does it change?
You know what? When you first came in the league, I was taught to have respect all my life. And when I came into the league, when you talk about Julius, Kareem, all those guys, ultimate respect.
Yeah.
Ultimate. But I wanted them to know my respect also went to competing. Mm-hmm. And that means competing against you. And then they respected that even more. I respected when I walked into the league, I had all these incredible players, and I gave them ultimate respect. Ultimate. I mean, if they told me, when I get here, you make sure you're in the gym with my orange juice before we get there in my gym, I would have did it. But when we got in between those lines, yeah, I'm sorry.
Who's the guy?
Kareem. I'm sorry. Hey, if I get a chance to dunk on you, it's happening.
Does he go do the same thing?
Yeah.
I mean,
38,000 points, not going.
So does that make sense to you?
Nah, it makes sense, but it's like, cause like you see, they had the interview with Isaiah and Magic, and he talked about like we're best friends, but then like one time in the finals, he hit Isaiah and he started swinging, and Isaiah started swinging at Magic, like, and I get it, but just like I don't know, it would throw me off. Like if I'm looking up to you as a player, and then next thing you know, I'm burning you for 28 points, it would kind of like take away. You know what I mean?
I gotta take that from you though.
Yeah.
I gotta take something from you sometimes.
He's taking it personal, yo.
That's being a competitor, man.
It's being a competitor.
It's being a competitor, man.
Because I seen some of them games where you were like you were having your way with some of them Lakers players.
We seen it with Larry Bird and Dr. J, the fight.
Yeah.
You know? It's same thing, competition.
Off the court.
Exactly.
That's how it is, man. I mean, if you can't get over that hump, I don't even want you on my team.
Oh, man.
I don't.
Facts.
If you can't get over the fact that, I don't want you on my team.
Exactly.
I don't want you on my team. I think you're a great guy, but I don't want you on my team if you got the fact that you're not going to go at your buddy.
Yeah.
Then I slam my tail to the ground. See some of the bucket boys.
Yeah, I mean,
he would look at me like I had to do it.
Right.
I mean, because
we knew Isaiah wasn't playing buddy ball. Ain't no buddy ball.
Oh, hell no.
I hope they got you, man. Did they get you? I'm giving it to you.
Yeah, it's all love because like just like even when you're like Matt even said it, like we had a talk like after the first interview we ever did with you, and we're like watching the 30 for 30, the Isaiah and Magic interview, and for me it changed everything. I'm like the guy like Magic sounded like he had the ultimate love for you and Isaiah. Like
we had the ultimate love for each other, and it's never gonna change.
Yeah, he's like you and Mark. It's just awkward.
Me, Magic, and Isaiah are gonna always have ultimate love for each other. It's gonna never change.
There's a rap pack.
But when it comes time to win a game, all right, we'll talk for about 48 minutes.
Oh man.
Mike Shelly, what up, boy?
What's up?
I see who on there. What makes you sit down?
Oh, it's Brady Train. I'm
Man.
watching it. It's all his people asking about movies for long and all types of stuff.
That's the house.
Yeah. Because you got it way over there. I'm getting it. I was waiting for them to get busy.
Wow.
But all the questions.
Hey, y'all excuse me 1 minute, man. Hold on.
1 hour?
Hey, Chris, man, you want to pair of signed shoes from me?
Man,
you want me to send you a pair of my shoes signed?
I want a pair from both of y'all.
What you saying?
I want a pair from both of y'all. I need a pair from Mark.
I need a pair for me.
Mine was a joke. That was a joke.
Oh, you need a pair.
He said mine was a joke.
Good.
Oh, do you really? Okay. It's the favorite color.
And you there, Mark.
Man, I can't. Like, there's going to be so many moments I can see coming up that I'm not. The moments like these are better than any pair of sneakers.
Yeah, but see, you get these shoes from a straight gangster. You can't put them with all them other shoes. The only way I get you a pair of shoes, they can't, I don't even want my shoes to fit the side, no fucking. I don't want to see the side, no people that are average 8 in the league.
Yo.
Nope, can't put my shoes beside you.
Nah.
No.
Yo, these,
Nah.
I'll take these moments over a pair of shoes any day.
You say who?
I'll take these moments like this over a pair of shoes any day.
Over a pair of unclean shoes?
Well, I really appreciate you guys.
No doubt,
you guys
man.
come straight with me, and I got a lot of people that want me to do this, but when I talked to Bob and he introduced me to you guys, you know, everybody got a podcast, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just feeling y'all. You know what I'm saying?
So everybody got a podcast, but it's not a nice.
No, I just like what they doing.
Yeah.
Don't
like so hard.
I like where y'all.
I wonder when y'all sleep. When do y'all sleep?
Dude,
Question,
to be honest with you, I barely do. Like, my phone will literally go off in the middle of the night or something will, like, just wake me up and I'm like, dude, like, I barely get any sleep.
Chris, I'll be on social media. You be on social media.
Tell him.
Until I reach my goal, I'm not stopping.
No, my sister be on social media. Oh, oh, she come here. My sister come in the house, man. She don't look up to like 10 30.
Oh man.
She looking at, hey man, let me tell you social media. I don't know what it's like until I see my sister Andy in there walk. She come in and she get her head down to 10:30, man. She can talk to everybody and seen everybody talk. So to be with you guys, man, I know y'all get with it. So
social media is better than
I'm with you, man.
Oh nah, this is gonna be fun. Like, if you're involved with this is gonna be so much fun this year. Like,
hell,
I'm
hell.
with it. I'm gonna get
Christmas every day, man.
you know what'd be even better?
Cause I have fun with you.
You know what would be even better? Even better would be if you and Robert came out here to Philly for a week or something.
There you go.
That would
be fun.
Really not too long ago.
We're on our way, man.
On your way.
Boys on here. So right now, I'm gonna get my boys on here. I'm gonna get about at least 50 different personalities. I'll tell you who the guys are gonna be, and then we're gonna chop it up. Yeah, we're gonna chop. I want the real boys. We're gonna chop it up real, like.
Ooh.
You know, who should be, who shouldn't be. Because there's a lot of people out there that, you know, get credit for being cold. And they all right, they ain't cold. You know.
They like cool.
They all right.
Cool. Let them know,
they
man.
Cool. They not cold.
Let them know.
They like lukewarm.
Well, I can give you the instructions for being cold. The first one for being cold, if you're double teamed all the time, that's the first criteria for being cold.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right.
Now you right.
That's the first one. And the next one being cold, if you average over 20 and you get double teamed every night, then you get to the next cold level. All right? I'm talking about people who are cold. I said, first of all, if you get double teamed every time you touch the ball, that person cold. Next thing is, hey, I'm telling you like it is. You know, still average number. And the third one, yeah. And the third one is when every player runs away from you.
Oh, stop. So what the players do when you was coming up? Because I watched a lot of the games, I watched a lot of the things, I watched a lot of the highlights. What do you think players did when you had the ball?
Well, who?
When you had the ball, what do you think players did?
We talked before. Now, you know you should have did your homework. You already know the answer to all of those.
You know what his answer is going to be, right?
Yeah. Yo. I just feel like, yo.
You don't want me to say him, huh?
Because there's like, when you see Mark in his prime. No, when I saw.
Hey, my brother-in-law over here laughing.
But nah, because
you got everybody in the house laughing.
Oh man.
You just want me to say it.
Yo, bro, like.
You seen that Lionel Richie commercial? Was it E-Trade?
Yeah.
They say, he say I can trade from morning to night. And they try to get him to stay all night long.
Because there be some highlights that I'll see. I'll see some highlights, and it doesn't even look like people are defending you. Especially in Dallas, it looks like in like when you were in Dallas, you were so off, like you had so much offensive weaponry that it looked like you just got by them with ease. Like no matter how hard they tried to defend you, you would shoot over them.
Let me just toot my own horn. Right? I don't do it. I even know I'm not like that. You know, what's real is real.
Yeah.
I got doubled every second of my NBA career.
And you still made it to the hole.
Man, they love Isaiah to come double me. I was shocked.
And that's what I'm saying. Like,
in front of me, he's on the ball with me. Huh?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I would see highlights, and they could double team you, and you were still shooting over them, getting around them, getting to the hole, and I'm like, wow, like, you know what I mean? That's what I mean. Like they.
Well, I had to carry the team. I could not. Okay, y'all stop me, so I'm not gonna score. You can't do that. So I had to find a way to get it off, to score. So it wasn't no problem, man. It wasn't no problem.
Nah.
It wasn't no problem at all. Ain't no great one got a problem. Jordan got double teamed the moment he walked out the locker room. And he still averaged 100. People still fall. AI averaged 100 as soon as he came out the locker room. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. The Cole's gonna get it done. You know.
Yeah.
That's why they coach.
Nah, you definitely got the job done.
That's what's up.
Yeah, I was blessed, man, to be able to do that.
We gotta do that. We gotta do like a little segment like Mark.
Hey man, I'm telling y'all my Instagram and all that stuff, man. Y'all gotta get this.
Yeah, we're gonna talk after the show. And when you do come to Philly, we're Rob. Me and Rob's gonna play you 2-on-1.
Don't do that.
I got you. Let's go. I'm gonna play NBA player.
These are my boys on there, man.
Playmaker Radio.
These my boys. Go to it. Playmaker Radio.
Your boys in Chicago.
We're gonna have all the other people on there.
Yep.
We good? Yeah, we good. Go ahead, man.
Make sure you follow us. Make sure you follow Mark. Make sure, because we got some things about to go down.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Follow him.
January 5th.
Playmaker. Follow me. All right, we good, man. Go ahead, man.
Oh man, but
I'm just giving it to y'all, man.
Nah, that's what's up. But I'm looking forward to these conversations. This is gonna be a fun year, man.
Once I get on there with one of my boys, it's gonna get real good. Yeah, Bob, really.
I get the feeling. I get the feeling when he gets on with somebody, it's gonna be like a situation where we just sit back, listen, and laugh.
Just listen to it.
But it's going to get like that.
It's going to be a Steven Jackson on here.
We're going to talk anything, man. We're going to talk anything.
And that's all we want.
We're going to talk anything. Yeah. And talk real.
I want the inside scoop on everything.
Real. We're going to talk real, man.
So
I'm going to do that.
So y'all listening?
I'm here, Playmakers Radio podcast, talking about, all my career and all that. Hey, what y'all doing over there? Great. I'm glad you're out there.
Yeah.
I'm just putting this on for y'all. All my Facebook fans know. I'm gonna send y'all this face.
Yeah. But
She right, Bob?
Yeah, I gotta send y'all. I'm sorry, I'm talking to y'all and I'm talking to Facebook. But y'all don't mind, do you?
Not at all, man.
Okay, y'all see the live stream?
Where that G at, man?
No, I got a lot of people on here that you guys don't know, man, about what? About maybe almost a year ago. Man, I was I was almost 300 plus.
He was laughing off.
I was about 300 plus. And now I'm probably about 7 pounds from playing weight. You know, I drink this tea every day, so I got a lot of my facial things. But I finally showed them, you know, where I'm at. Yeah.
Man, this man lean as ever, man.
So I'm just ready for my thing.
Okay.
But yeah, man, I'm
not. No, when you go get the tea.
Oh, well, I ain't talking about that. Man. I'm talking to these boys about gangster ball. Larry Bird was a gangster. King was a gangster. Robert Perry was a gangster. You know who they don't give enough credit to?
Who?
Minnesota Tall. From Minnesota Tall. No, Minnesota Tall. Kevin McHale.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Minnesota Tall, baby.
Oh yeah, he was a goon. He was a goon, man.
Who could stop him on the box?
Yeah, he's a goon, man.
That's a tough one.
Couldn't nobody guard Kevin McHale on the box. Nobody.
Yeah, he had more faith than Beyonce.
Nobody. Is he in the basketball Hall of Fame?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Minnesota Tall. Bad boy, man. I'm just asking. I ain't in there. I didn't be in there before you.
What'd you say?
I was a bad boy. I'm up this year again, though.
You're going in.
Wait.
But Kelly gonna get that done.
All right, Kelly, you gonna get that in the basketball Hall of Fame?
Wait a second, you're not in the Hall of Fame?
No, remember?
Huh?
No, I knew his number wasn't retired.
Mark's not. Yeah, no, he's not. I remember because we had that conversation before.
Wow, I didn't know that. I thought for sure.
Wow, you thought I was the Hall of Fame? Why you gonna kick me off this show now?
No. Like
We were. See, that's the funny thing, Mark. We were talking about that last time you had called on. At least I know for me personally, you should be for what your accomplishments are.
I got a couple of them.
It's not even just the ring, it's just the man, the scoring ability. What this man could do, he should be.
Obviously, nobody.
You gotta talk about NBA history. You talk about Mark Aguirre.
I've been on the Dodgers the last 2 years, and I haven't made it yet.
Oh, you going in here, man.
Well, it'll be cool. It'll be cool.
Man, they let Grant Hill and them boys up in there. We ain't gonna get on that, though.
No, you can say that for the next conversation.
Keep Maggie Grant Hill in there. What they do?
Whatever. I'm sorry, man. Y'all go ahead. Y'all want to add something else?
No, I mean, well, do you understand? You got
No.
I mean, for me personally, at this moment, I think actually we're going to end up this segment at the moment because we're all getting ready. People from the studio are about to leave and everything. Mark, I will tell you though right now, it's been a great conversation.
Been an honor, man.
Been a great conversation.
Man, I'm just glad, we'll see what it goes like. We'll see how it turns. Chris, I'm getting it for you 100.
Yeah.
Right. Y'all flood the internet, man.
Chris.
Chicago Millionaire Radio Show.
Alright.
Mark.
Huh?
But yeah.
We good, man?
Yeah, we definitely good. We about to wrap up this show and start preparing for next show and, you know what I mean, try some things out and see if we can make this progress.
It's done, baby. So I'll just connect with you guys a little later, man.
Yeah. Well,
all right,
man. It's good talking to you.
All right.
We'll be in
contact.
contact.
I saw that food y'all had at y'all studio too.
Let me know how it go, man.
All right, man. But we're definitely gonna work on it. We look forward to this year and working with you, man, and building.
We'll see, man. We'll make it happen.
All right, man. All right. I'll holler at you later, Mark. It was good talking to you.
Yeah. All right.
All right, man. I'll talk to you later, Rob. Oh, man.
No, I think they.
Yeah. Man, once again, Mark Aguirre on the phone.
What are you doing?
Shout out to Mark. Shout out to Robert. Shout out to Michael Kelly.
Yo, you notice how you just put the chair in front of the door? I can't open the door.
I don't know what you're trying to do. I don't know
what you're family. Yo, this room fucking is hot, yo.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
Yo.
But yeah, that was
It's a very good thing. You know it's 30 degrees outside, right?
Yeah, man, but it's just fucking. It's like a sauna in there. It's like the Bermuda room in this place, yo.
But yeah, man, we out of here. That wraps up another episode.
Some hot yoga shit. Yeah, hot yoga shit. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Fucking Russell Simmons ass room. Now this shit. Then y'all got some actual worn basketball player shoes.
Talk to him about that.
Yo, man, do you realize the big feet? Niggas?
We just had this conversation, man.
Yo, it smells like feet in here. Like, yo, you got like a candle in there.
Man, we out of here.
Whose shoes are those? Yo, whose shoes are those?
Zach Levine.
Tune in to Playmakers Radio. Playmakers Radio app, man. Check out the rest of the podcast. We're talking to Mark Aguirre, two-time NBA champion. I'll holler at y'all, man.
On the Playmakers Radio app.